Hi everyone. Welcome back to Unite Pieces channel, and today we are going to tell you about action, drama, thriller movie, titled American Ultra. American Ultra tells the story of Mike Howell, a drug addict, who discovers that he is part of a CIA project, an important asset that arms him with special powers. So, make sure you watch this video till the end, for a better experience. The movie begins with a couple named Mike Howell and Phoebe. They live together in a peaceful town. Mike can't remember his life before he met Phoebe 5 years ago, and Mike wanted to marry Phoebe and was going to take her to Hawaii. But Mike's panic illness flared up every time Mike left town, so they both canceled their vacation to Hawaii, and Mike didn't marry Phoebe. Mike works as a cashier at a supermarket, and Mike likes to make drawings about monkeys, which he named Apollo Malky. Once upon a time, when Mike changed the promo sign at his store, Mike seemed to be watched by a satellite. Then we move to the main office of the CIA. Victoria Lasseter is a senior CIA agent, and used to be the leader of a program called Wiseman's Assets. At that time Victoria got a call from a mysterious person. The person said that they had got a new program called the Ultra Program, so they wanted to eliminate Wiseman's Assets, which had been released by Victoria. Hearing that, Victoria disagreed, but her phone was suddenly turned off. Back to Mike and Phoebe. They were seen on a date, and Mike said that he was an obstacle for Phoebe. However, Phoebe did not think so, and assured Mike that Mike was not an obstacle for her. Back to Victoria. Victoria went to see one of the CIA officials, named Adrian Yates. Victoria asked why the Wiseman program had to be eliminated. Yates then replied because the asset had been proven to try to leave the city, and the asset in question was Mike. Previously Victoria had closed the Wiseman program, and let the asset live, because she thought that the asset also deserved to live a life. Victoria continued to tell Yates not to hunt down his assets, but Victoria, who had a lower rank, could not do anything when told to leave by Yates. Back to Mike. Mike went to see his friend named Rose. Mike wanted to buy fireworks to make a surprise, because Mike was going to propose to Phoebe. Then when Mike returned to work guarding the shop as usual, Victoria came and said a word, which turned out to function to activate Mike's abilities. However, here Mike was unconscious and did not recognize Victoria. Seeing the reaction, Victoria muttered that her method might not work, so Victoria left. Because the shop was quiet that night, Mike decided to make pop noodles and go out. When Mike went out, there were two people messing with his car. Mike reprimanded them, but they both tried to attack Mike. However, Mike accidentally killed them using only a spoon, which was previously used to make noodles. Mike was very panicked after doing that. Mike then called Phoebe, asking her to come over. While they were both confused, the police suddenly appeared and immediately arrested them both. It was revealed that the two people were Yates' Ultra assets. Yates ordered the army to close the city, and also sent 2 other assets to eliminate Mike. Mike was interrogated by the police about the incident, and when Mike was about to be returned to his cell, Ultra assets attacked this police station. One asset fought the police, while the other fought Mike. The asset that fought Mike was named Laugher, because the man was always laughing. Mike was able to defeat Laugher and make some of his teeth fall out, but Mike did not kill him, and only locked him in prison. Then in the next room, the police finally lost. The two of them immediately went up and killed the asset who defeated the police. On the other hand, Victoria had arrived in the city, but all entrances had been blocked by soldiers. Victoria then called her superiors, and Victoria was told that this was the work of Yates. Phoebe was very confused and panicked by this situation. Phoebe was confused about where to go. Mike suggested going to Rose's house, because Rose had a lot of weapons. Mike then calmed Phoebe, and at that moment they decided to go to Rose's house using Phoebe's car. Meanwhile, Victoria had made it into the city. Victoria came to the police station, but only saw that the building was destroyed. Victoria then asked Petty Douglas for help, who was her friend who also worked at the CIA. Victoria asked Petty for help to send weapons, and also information about Ultra's assets. The scene switches to Mike. Mike and Phoebe continue their journey on foot to Rose's house, because there is an obstacle blocking their car. Here Mike thinks, is he a robot? Because Mike can't remember his past, his school days, and even who his parents are. Long story short, they arrived at Rose's house. Rose was immediately wary of her guests, because Rose heard the news that this city had been infected with a deadly virus. Of course this was the work of Yates, who wanted to cover up the real problem. Yates has arrived in the city, and the soldiers he sent have made camp in the supermarket parking lot, where Mike works. Back to Mike. Mike tells Rose that Mike came here to take refuge, and Rose is still keeping his distance, in case Mike gets the rumored virus. Suddenly, two of Rose's men come in who already know Mike and Phoebe. Mike asks about the monkey virus that Rose said. Rose also explains that this virus makes people crazy, and now it has spread throughout the city, therefore all roads are closed. Suddenly, the news reported that the spreaders of the deadly virus were Victoria and Mike. Rose, who believed in it, decided to quarantine Mike and Phoebe in the basement. On the other hand, Victoria got information about Ultra assets, and also weapons from the airdrops sent by Petty. Ultra assets are mentally ill people who are used as assets by Yates, and they can be controlled directly by him. Shortly thereafter, Yates realized there was a drop in the area, and Yates threatened to kill Petty if Petty betrayed and got in his way, or even helped Victoria. Here Victoria actually wanted to ask for help once again, but Petty, who had been threatened, decided not to help her anymore, thus making Victoria have to move alone. Back to Mike and Phoebe. They were in the basement of Rose's house and seemed to be thinking of ways to escape. Yates finally learns of Mike's whereabouts, and immediately orders two of his Ultra assets to come. This time they use poisonous gas so they don't have to bother dealing with Mike. These assets start to enter the poisonous gas, so Rose and friends have to die from inhaling the gas. The poisonous gas enters the house. Fortunately, Mike and Phoebe manage to escape and beat up several Ultra assets, before finally taking the assets masked and going outside together. While outside, one of the assets attacked them, but Phoebe immediately finished him off. Unfortunately, Mike, who was not wearing a mask, was eventually exposed to the poison. Phoebe, who got the antidote from the Ultra asset, injected it. Phoebe told Mike not to fall asleep, because if he fell asleep, Mike would die. Meanwhile, Mike was having flashbacks about his memories with Phoebe, and among those memories, there were memories of when Phoebe interrogated Mike. When Mike woke up, Mike was suspicious of Phoebe, and was confused why Phoebe could know about the poison gas. Phoebe finally told the truth, that she was a spy from the CIA, who was tasked with watching Mike. Mike became angry and wanted to leave Phoebe by car, but Phoebe got in, and there was an argument between them. Suddenly, a car hit them until it rolled over, and it turned out to be a Lasseter. The asset then took Phoebe hostage and was going to take her away from here. Mike was pinned by his car and couldn't move. His car was set on fire by Lasseter and exploded. Phoebe, who was taken to the army post, turned out to know Yates. Soon Mike turned out to be alive. Mike was rescued by Victoria, and here Mike was told everything that Victoria used to also have an asset, and Mike was the only one who succeeded. When Mike was 18 years old, Mike was arrested by the police for possession of marijuana, and that's when Mike was recruited as an asset. However, slow years passed and Victoria wanted her asset to have a new idea. Therefore Mike was given a new identity and erased his memory. While they were talking, their place was noticed by someone, and this person reported to the authorities, and that's why Yates found out that Mike was still alive. Meanwhile, Mike and Victoria were heading to his house, but Mike's existence was known by Yates, because it was seen from CCTV. Mike thought that he would die, but at least Mike would die after knowing his origins. On the other hand, Yates immediately sent two of his assets to look for Mike. While Mike was resting, Victoria was suddenly ambushed and there was a fight between them. One asset was killed using a rifle, and the other was killed using a pistol. In the air, there was already a killer drone preparing to shoot the house, but Petty decided not to shoot it, so the killer drone just passed above them. Elsewhere, Kruger, who is the head of the CIA, received a mysterious call, and immediately left for somewhere after getting the call. Yates then called Mike and said he would kill Phoebe if Mike didn't come. Yates then prepared all his Ultra assets to protect her, and when they were given a speech, suddenly Mike came using shots from fireworks. They entered the supermarket, and Mike, who already knew the whole place, immediately faced all Ultra assets. Mike managed to win because of the place factor. Mike fought until Ultra's assets only left Lasseter alone. Lasseter was told to fight Mike, while Yates went to the back with Phoebe. Phoebe managed to release her handcuffs and hit Yates several times, until finally limp. Yates wanted to escape from that place, but was caught by Victoria. The fight between Lasseter and Mike was also over. Here Lasseter asked Mike, "Who commands you?" Mike replied, "No one," and after that Mike allowed Lasseter to leave. Elsewhere, Victoria was about to kill Yates, but Kruger came and stopped her. The injured Phoebe immediately went to Mike, who was also injured, and when they both came out of the supermarket, it turned out that they were surrounded by hundreds of police. Suddenly, Mike decided to propose to Phoebe here, and Phoebe accepted. When they were about to kiss, unfortunately they had to be electrocuted and passed out. After that, Kruger met Yates and Victoria. Here Kruger was angry because they both abused their power. Kruger immediately finished off Yates, and when Kruger was about to shoot Victoria, Victoria said that the Weissman program could defeat the Ultra program, which means that Weissman is better than Ultra. It was revealed that the Weissman program itself had spent more than $400 million, and $400 million was only for one person, Mike, and to educate him Kruger needed Victoria. 6 months pass. Mike is now in the Philippines, and it looks like Victoria was pardoned by Kruger because Victoria is still alive. Mike will kill someone who might be a criminal, and when Mike will teach the criminal, suddenly the movie ends. This film teaches us not to be afraid to face all problems, find our identity and recognize ourselves. Thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow.